Yeah, so the First Amendment is, their freedom of speech, their freedom to assemble, to sit there and protest this stuff. Second Amendment's the right to bear arms. Like I said, Alex Pretti got summarily executed despite exercising that right. And they literally used that as the reasoning for why he was shot. Oh, well, he had a gun on him.
Disgusting. For any Second Amendment people out there, I mean, you have to be appalled. And the NRA has released statements to that effect. So I don't understand how all these Second Amendment people are still pro ICE and anti Alex Pretti. Even if you're just going to look at that one incident, all these fucking hillbillies in the woods with their gun collections, stop sucking yourselves off talking about if things ever got real bad, we'd restore order. It's getting there, man. Somebody who is exercising a right that you believe in just got summarily executed for exercising that right. Grab your guns and get out there. Otherwise, or, either one's fine, or stop sucking yourselves off.
Speaking truth to power, as long as it's the other team. This is the New World Order broadcast, coming to you live from the end of the world.
That's correct, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the New World Order broadcast, and we are coming to you live from the end of the world. Once again, I am your host, the Hat Man. I am joined in the studio by Harry, the Tax Man, and we are joined once again by Talking Head number 6, who is coming to us from an undisclosed location. How's everybody doing today? What's that?
I said, namaste right here.
Namaste?
Namaste right here.
I get it. Very punny Talking Head. So listen, guys, I obviously feel like we need to further our discussion on the current state of the union with the ICE raids and the protests that are nearly erupting into riots in many major metropolitan areas across the country as we speak. But I did have a very, I'm going to say, conclusive experience this week. So I woke up on one of the many days that I do where I am nursing a major hangover, and I hopped on TikTok. And I let the feed carry me on a journey. And the journey was basically one of massive protests going on basically everywhere. More violence erupting in Minneapolis. TikTok attempting to suppress, apparently, anti-ICE information, even though that's all my feed was basically giving me, so I don't know how true that is. It can't be that true. But as far as showing all of these huge protests, what they were saying was, if we put down on our videos that, this is footage from the protests, we get no views. So what we're calling it in code on TikTok is 24-hour music festival. And apparently that makes its way through the algorithm. So if you're ever on TikTok or Instagram and you look up 24-hour music festival, you'll get to see these crowds. And unless these crowds are AI generated, they're fucking massive. They're getting a lot of people out. It's pretty amazing. But, I'm sitting there nursing my hangover, my headache and everything. And after 4 or 5 hours of scrolling through all this nonsense and all this violence and all of these different angles of the Alex Pretti shooting, all of a sudden I felt a weight lift off my heart. So let me explain exactly what I think happened. I, generally speaking, have been in my life a master of my own domain. I try to be self-actualized. If I want something, I'll go get it. If I have an idea, I'm going to do it. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. Great. And then 2020 rolled around with the pandemic and the lockdowns. And inside of my own psyche or whatever, I feel like I flipped a switch. And I felt like I was living in a world that my childhood and my early adult life did not give me adaptation to. I felt like all of a sudden all the rules have changed. So I am ill-equipped to exist in this new reality. It really did start to feel like, for me, I was living in a fucking cartoon. I lost the ability to pursue my business. That wasn't, and all these things weren't just because of the pandemic, but the pandemic helped. And, they just all happened to coalesce in my own reality. Couldn't get a job because I didn't want to get a certain thing from the Spanish flu. And, all of a sudden, anything that I wanted to do, anything that I tried, failed miserably. And I sank down pretty quickly. And I just felt like, all the things that I've done my entire life that have worked for me are no longer working. What's going on? And I started to feel like the way that I assume most people feel, where they are themselves in a big, wide external reality, an infinitely small speck in an infinitely large universe, inconsequential, powerless, mortal, and open to attack, vulnerable. And that didn't sit well with me, but I couldn't quite finger what it was for a long time. And all of a sudden this week, that weight just lifted right off my shoulders while I'm watching all this violence and all these protesters. And all of a sudden, deep in my heart, I'm looking at it, not going, we're fucked, but I'm looking at it going, oh, look, they're doing it again. They're fucked. So it very succinctly went from a we to a they. Do you guys understand kind of what I'm getting at, Talking Head? This what I'm saying makes sense?
So I guess in this situation, what is the they?
Well, the they that I was watching is humans, I guess. Humans be humaning. We got people who are bullying people because they think they're bullies, and then we got people who are proving that they're bullies, bullying the other people that are bullying them because they think they're bullies. And I just realized, like, I lost 100% of my emotional connection to it. And then, I sat down and I tried to figure out, okay, what just happened? Because that was cathartic. I want to stay in that frame of mind. That feels way better. Here it is. So, basically, I very seldom find myself in situations in my daily life where my safety is in jeopardy. And every time I do find myself in a situation like that, like a, near fatal car crash, which I had one a few years ago, and every time I drive through the intersection, I remember it. But every time I end up in a situation where my life or my safety is in jeopardy, I log that in my files as a priority in order to avoid a similar situation in the future. So my safety in my own life takes priority. So here's the thing. I can't really identify anymore with the protesters. And I cannot identify with the men in uniform. Harry, as you and I discussed on the last podcast, I have a natural abhorrence to authority.
Of course you do.
I don't like it. I have no respect for it, and I have like a need to be anti that. So there's a lot of people, for example, who are angry over the shooting of Renee Good. And I fucking get it. Listen, Renee Good got shot in the face. Okay, now don't give a gang of people with guns a hard time, and maybe you won't get shot. Now, there's a lot of people very angry that Renee Good drove her car into an ICE agent. And we have, Harry, we showed on the podcast Without You Talking Head, we got a really good angle that shows, he did not get hit, but he got violently shoved. The only reason he didn't get hit is because he was already right next to the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks like the bumper probably brushed against his leg.
The corner of the car pushed his body about 10 feet. He landed on his feet. I mean, that's what the video that we saw showed. And once again, unless it's AI, but if that was AI, it was very good. So a lot of people are angry that she drove her car into a federal agent. And my thing is, okay, fine. But if you're having an argument with somebody who is in a running vehicle, don't stand directly in front of or behind it. Then they can't do that. There's a bunch of people angry about the Alex Pretti thing, that he got shot and killed. Okay, well, hey, listen, if you're going to complain that a group of people with guns that outnumber you are bullies, and you're going to go face off with them, actually your best chance of survival is not bringing your gun. Because as soon as they see that, there you go, okay? And a lot of people are angry about the agents with the guns shooting Alex Pretti. A lot of people are saying that shouldn't have happened. Okay, but here's a guy with a gun who's calling you a bully, getting in your fucking face. Like, so don't do that. And then there's a lot of people that are angry at Alex Pretti for kicking the light off of the back of the federal officer's SUV. Don't drive into neighborhoods with masks and guns and throw people in cars without due process, and you probably can avoid that situation. And then there are a lot of people complaining about illegal immigration. Okay? And they're complaining that these people are being deported. Okay, if you don't want these people to get deported, don't have them come in illegally. Make it legal or give them channels to go through. And then there's a lot of people complaining about this woman, I forget her name, who apparently got raped by an illegal immigrant who was a Venezuelan gang member. And I have to ask the question, what was she wearing? So we have to answer these questions concisely before we can form strong opinions on them. When this woman was approached by the Venezuelan gang member, were the first words out of her mouth, "Who are you? Get away from me"? Or were the first words out of her mouth, "Ay, papi"? I think that matters. Now, I realized I have such an emotional disconnect to this topic, and Harry, you are a big Second Amendment advocate. We have over 40 guns in the house.
Yeah, maybe more.
And Talking Head, you are extremely anti-Trump, and you got to be wondering what Harry thinks. Harry's pretty right-wing. You got to be wondering what Harry thinks about a guy who was legally armed being basically executed in broad daylight by federal officers. But even Harry has come to me recently saying, you know what? I'm starting to sour on Trump. He's starting to just look like a big bully. Right? I mean, you said that to me the other day.
He's exercising what power has been given to him.
That's true. I think there's a lot to discuss here. However, I realize my emotional disconnect, I can't fucking do it anymore. I just can't. But I do think it's a conversation that needs to be had by people who actually still do give a fuck. I just don't. And I feel a lot better now that switch has flipped back the other way. But I'm going to let you guys talk about it. I think it's an important discussion. It needs to be had. Talking Head, as we predicted many, many podcasts ago, It does seem like the United States is coming very close to an authoritarian state. And as Anton LaVey predicted before us, he predicted that the future of America would basically be a benign police state. Now, right now, it doesn't look very benign, but, you know, in order to make an omelet, you have to break some eggs. I don't know. I kind of feel like I want to listen to you guys talk, see where both sides are coming from. Maybe I'll moderate a little bit if somebody says something ridiculous. Like if Harry says that if Alex Pretti had a shungite necklace, the bullets wouldn't have hurt him. You know, maybe I'll jump in. Talking head, if you say something ridiculous, like you did on the last podcast where we were talking about George Soros, and you said people don't want money and power unless they're gonna use it for something, and I was like, no, people want those things a priori. So let's stop that. That's coming in bad faith. But other than that, I think unless I have something to say, I'm gonna fucking shut up. And I want you guys to talk about it, so I want to listen. I think it would be an interesting conversation. I don't think there's a lot of conversations between people who see this issue that differently. Our nation is on the brink of combusting. It seems like it's a powder keg that's ready to go off. This actually could be the straw that breaks the camel's back, unlike Renee Good and Charlie Kirk. It seems like now we may actually be at that point. I mean, who wants to start? You've noticed that the world is ugly. Ever wonder why? Here's one reason you haven't thought of. We are being sold a lie that tells us beauty is elitist, that polish is fake, and that the lowest common denominator is the most real. Think about it. A century ago, men wore suits and hats to a baseball game. Now, it's socially acceptable to wear Star Wars pajamas and bunny slippers to a coffee shop. We pay a premium for jeans that come pre-ripped, pre-faded, pre-destroyed. The shimmer and glamour of the metal chrome we used to use to decorate our cars is being systematically stripped from our vehicles, labeled as dangerous and unnecessary. This isn't an accident. It's a strategy, and it's called inferiorism. The message is everywhere. Don't aspire. Don't stand out. Don't wear a uniform of dignity. Wear a uniform of detachment. Why? Because a population that is visually slobbish, that embraces a culture of wear whatever one wants, anywhere, as the highest form of freedom, is a population that is easier to manage. It's visual garbage. It's conformity disguised as rebellion. And where is the supposed bastion of beauty? The high art market? It's largely a money laundering architecture for the ultra wealthy. It's not about creating beauty. It's about moving capital. They fund the ugly and meaningless in order to make us passive, and they commodify art in order to hide their money. This is the enemy, a system that profits from our lowered expectations. Corporations make more from inferior goods, and all the while, we demand less from them for our everyday lives. But you noticed, that's why you're watching this. That feeling of depression and disappointment, perhaps even anger in your gut when you see another stripped down, dulled out, authentically distressed, worldview producing product, that's your innate sense of beauty fighting back. A mud hut and a mansion are not the same. That's why I create the art that I do. Every piece on NWONOWART.com is a deliberate act of resistance. It's color, form, and meaning. It's the chrome trim on the soul. It's the suit and tie for your spirit in a world that would prefer you to wear sweatpants. This isn't just about buying art. It's about buying back a piece of a potentially beautiful world that they're trying to erase. The collection is limited because beauty and truth always is. Go to NWONOWart.com right now. See the difference. Own a statement piece for as cheaply as high-quality prints can be made. In a world committed to ugliness, choose to invest in beauty and meaning. While they're trading blank canvases between billionaires, we're building something real. Art that fights back. Art that remembers what it means to be human. This work won't be available to museums or galleries. They're for you, the people that still remember what it means to be human. Go to NWONOWart.com right now, sign up for our newsletter, and get 10% off your first order. This is your chance to own a piece of the resistance.
Maybe there's going to be a civil war. That's predicted. If we do have a civil war, what side are you on?
What's that talking at?
Oh no, I was letting Harry finish.
I think he did. I think he just started off. We could be on the brink of a civil war. If we do end up in a situation that's a civil war, what side would you be on? There you go.
No, I mean,
it's a good question to start off with. I like it.
I think the interesting thing is that if you sit there and you look at the Civil War, so the stranger thing about that is that it was a divide of governance as well. So it wasn't just people who had specific views that were going against each other. It was that the states in the South wanted to completely secede from the Union, but they could do that or attempt to do that because it was geographic. Mm-hmm. So
you're talking about the different. Now you're about to describe the differences between our first civil war and what could potentially happen. But there's been a lot of civil wars in a lot of different countries all throughout history. Our civil war is not the blueprint for what a civil war is.
Oh no, sure. So it ends up being the people versus the government, or the government splits into factions or regimes and they start fighting each other for power. So. Mm-hmm. That would be the question. I see the Democrats as kind of feckless and useless right now. So it's like, I don't really see the political powers that be, because they're part of the establishment. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a little bit of a different can of worms. So it's more people being against what their government is doing, or the ideology of their current government, and the corruption that's evident throughout it. But it's like, that's the funny thing, is like that corruption exists on both sides. It's just different flavors.
Right.
So I don't know what the sides would be in a new civil war. I would definitely be against this current government if they started locking people up and sitting there and opening fire on civilians in the open instead of just doing these small murders. You know, but I mean,
instead of just the small murders are fine, but come on, we start just opening fire en masse.
Well, but I'm just saying that's what would turn into an actual war as opposed to just civil unrest, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, it's good. No, I was going to say, just to touch on a couple of the things that have happened and everything. It's like the Renee Good shooting. It's like, sure, the vehicle hit him, like you guys were saying on last week's podcast. It's like the question of like, okay.
I want to be fair. I'm being as objective as possible. He was so close to it, it more shoved him, but it did throw him 10 feet, and he happened to land on his feet. Good for him.
Well, yeah.
But it's the second time this has fucking happened to him, so why are you standing in front of fucking vehicles that are turned on while you're fucking agitating somebody? Maybe don't do that, dummy.
Well, the whole thing is he's actually he's violating their protocols for dealing with somebody in a moving vehicle. Like, so yeah, he's completely like not to say that he's in the wrong, but he was doing what he shouldn't be doing, and actually
just by common sense, he was doing what he shouldn't be doing. Let alone protocols.
Yeah, I'm actually saying as far as the ICE and Border Patrol protocols and everything, it's like him even shooting her like that. You're not supposed to shoot somebody who's behind the wheel of a vehicle just because it makes the vehicle lose control and endanger people.
There you go.
And so everything that he did was completely incorrect as far as what he was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And so aside from any moral compunction about the fact that he like, you know, like her last words were, "I'm not mad at you, bro," and his last words were "fucking bitch," as he watched her car speed off and crash into a bunch of parked cars.
Yeah, and it's really not clear in the videos that we saw whether he shot her before her foot really hit the gas. You know, she was definitely moving before the first shot goes off.
Sure, she was definitely trying to get out of there, yeah.
If he didn't shoot her, he may not have been thrown 10 feet, is my point. You know, it's hard to tell. No. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, so it's like, the strange thing about what's going on right now is that there's this malice to it. Like, where the agents involved are acting unprofessionally, and they're acting with malice, and the people who agree with what's going on are acting with malice. They're like, I think there was a clip that I saw during the week of Tim Pool, the podcaster.
Yeah, I'm aware.
And he was he sat there and he said that somebody made a comment like on one of his videos or something like, "Oh yeah, go ahead and lick the government's boots." And I think that his reaction to that comment was very illuminating. He said, "I'm not licking the boots. They're my boots on your neck. I voted for this."
Yeah,
and I think that that's the attitude that everybody has. Everything's been so bifurcated, and animosities have been so ratcheted up over time between different ideological groups that, like, the people who like this love it, and these people who are joining ICE are the type of people who I think have that mentality. You know, like, I want my boot on your neck.
I do think that there is a tremendous amount of catharsis and vengeance. And I think that's what's going on right now. And I predicted this too, and you agreed with me, that, you know, the left is being so fucking ridiculous back during the Biden administration. It's the pendulum's going to swing so hard back to the right, you guys have no idea what's coming for you. You're playing a very dangerous game. And that's where we are right now. At least that's what I think. What do you think, Harry?
Well, if someone's got the power and the authority from somebody on top, and they believe that, and someone's in there said, "No, we don't believe you. I got the power, but you got the gun, and you're behind, and the other person's behind a 2-ton vehicle, which could be listed as a weapon." Because sometimes, if you look at Europe, they did have some incidents where they drove vehicles into festivals in Paris and in Germany.
Well, that happened in the States, too. I don't remember the exact...
Oh, that was...
That's okay. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's happened here.
But people are beginning to use weapons, and they don't have to wear it on your hip. You could use it with a car key. And the thing is, would I step in front of a car with a woman that's agitated? No, I don't look that stupid. Would I carry a gun to a protest and face 10 or 12 ICE agents? I wouldn't carry a gun.
I would, but I would, you know, if I had to go through the crowd. So let me say unequivocally, I would never be in that situation. But if I had to, I would certainly carry a gun, but I certainly wouldn't be antagonizing other people with guns.
Right, no, I wouldn't. Yeah. But the thing is, remember your riots in Philly? And you had to get her out of there?
Sure, I had a gun.
Would you run people over if they try to stop you?
100%.
Right. So therefore...
I thought all of that through before I got in my car. As I was packing up to go to your house, Talking Head, to avoid the riots in Philadelphia during the George Floyd riots, I'm packing my clothes, and the first thing that goes through my head is, are you going to bring your gun? You do not have a carry permit. If you get pulled over, you're going to go to jail. And my answer to myself was, I absolutely am, and it's going to be chambered, and it's going to be in the center console, because my physical safety is more important than going to jail. And then the second thought that I had is, what are you going to do if you run into a violent crowd and there's no way to get away from them? And I had it in my head, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my foot off the gas and off the brake and beep my horn and let the idol take me through the crowd. And if I ever feel like I'm in danger, I'm gunning the fucking gas. And that's what's going to happen. So I thought all of that through before I even left.
Well, if the ICE...
It's best to know what you're going to do in an emergency situation before you face it. That way there's no panic. you've already thought it through. That's my logic.
And if the ICE agents took that half track, and they was stupid people were trying to hold the half track back, and that guy opened up the throttle and just run them right over like they're marshmallows, are they justified?
Well, you tell me your opinion. Obviously, I think all of this is neither justified.
You don't know until you're there. You don't know what you're going to do. It's going to go through your head. Now, if you got 8 tons of steel and you're driving it, and these stupid people are trying to push you back by human power, I hope they would be a loudspeaker on it. Get away from the truck, or we're going to run you over.
Oh, they do. And I saw a lot of videos that morning where that's actually exactly what happened. They gave them 3 warnings. Step away from the vehicle, stop impeding traffic, over a loudspeaker, and then they just drove.
Well, they got warned.
Yeah.
Would you argue with someone that's in front of you that got a gun and you don't have? Have a happy day. Bye.
Yeah.
You don't know until you're sitting into that situation.
So I think that Harry and my attitude towards most of it is pragmatic. However, I mean, you do have to acquiesce to the fact that these people who are protesting
have the right to do so.
Sometimes on the verge of rioting, they believe very strongly that they are what they are protesting, what they are trying to impede, is a totalitarian action.
Well,
they believe very strongly in that.
Oh, if it looks that way, but then again, if I've been born in this country, and the government says, well, all these illegals, they're breaking the law, and we're going to enforce the law, and I live here, am I going to go against the law, and I'm going to become as illegal as they are? And that's the end. I mean, am I going to defend an illegal immigrant that has been a gangbanger, that snuck into this country? Well, if you sneak into this country for 20 years and you did nothing wrong, you should have the opportunity to become a citizen.
I agree. That's actually exactly what I was about to say.
If you get caught.
Saying that somebody in Venezuela, where their life was completely different, had to resort to crime, but they've been here for a number of years and they're trying to make do in society the correct way, other than being here illegally. Calling their past into the reasonable debate is the same thing as saying Alex Pretti deserved to get executed in the street because he was violent against a federal officer's vehicle in a previous protest. It's like, and then saying, well, Renee Good, it's okay that she got shot in the head because she gave up custody of her children even though her life partner was abusing them so she could stay with her life partner, so she's not a good person. Wait a second. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about in a civilized society, as federal officers, what's an executable offense? What's a capital crime in the heat of the moment? The way that you raise your fucking children and the life choices you make should not come into play. So it's a little weird following some people's Twitter feeds because they'll bring this up over and over again. But I want to give the same dispensation to people who have been existing here peacefully and trying to make their way since they got here, even though they had to come here illegally. I want to give them the same benefit of the doubt. So I agree with you on that, and I think that's an important point that you just brought up.
Some of those people have been trying for years and have paid thousands of dollars to fucking lawyers, which I hate. And they have been delaying them.
Wait a second, Harry, are you telling me that you hate lawyers?
Oh, yeah. Plain and simple.
That's like Talking Head going, I hate Trump. Wait a second, are you telling me that you hate Trump? I never knew.
I hate onions, too.
Yeah. So anyway, they have to, pay
but
thousands of dollars
if you're in the process of paying out thousands of dollars and working 2 or 3 jobs trying to stay in this country, and the system is not giving you a fair hearing on it, then I said the system's wrong because they're trying to do what's right.
Sure.
But if you sneak in this country and you're a gang member or whatever, and you're still committing crimes, then you should be imported out of this country. Then you should be sent out. Maybe you should be sent down in Texas.
I agree. Now, to Talking Heads' point, feels like there's just a lot of malice on both sides. Do you personally feel malice towards one side or the other when you see these acts of violence and these protests?
I say, if you're a gang member, you come from M13 or whatever gang you come from, Venezuela, and you rape a woman or you do crime, and you get caught by the local police should just hand you over to ICE and put you in federal court, whatever, and go back. You got a choice: go back to your country or go to our prisons for 20 years. If you kill somebody,
no, I think I would deport them at that point. They're already here illegally, and putting them in our prisons costs the American taxpayers money.
Or let's just send them back to the Venezuelan prison. You've seen pictures of that.
I think that's a better idea.
That makes Alcatraz look like a vacation spot.
I've never seen pictures. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, that's like terrible. That's a dictatorship.
Yeah.
But if you're a criminal and you belong to a gang, and you're doing criminals here, get the fuck out of here.
So I don't think, I agreed. Everybody agrees on that. I don't think Harry's of the opinion where he's watching these protests and these acts of civil disobedience and these shootings and going, yeah, good, we're finally doing it, which a lot of people online on social media do seem to have that attitude, and apparently Tim Pool is one of them.
Well, yeah, and I would say to everything that has been said since I've been just trying not to interrupt because I know it makes the audio wonky.
Well, you can interrupt a little bit, dude. It's just, if you interrupt and the person doesn't stop, you gotta stop, and then I'll try to moderate it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you keep talking, it's just like garbage.
Yeah. So what the real
We're not going to be able to have a
is,
cool discussion if everybody just waits for the other person to stop. So you can. I'm just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I think the big flaw in the logic there is that it's so yes, if these people are criminals, then they should be deported. If people are here illegally, the problem is instead of funding the immigration system to get through their cases more promptly, by hiring more social workers and judges to go over their cases to either deny or allow them asylum, to sit there and go through the specifics of how they're coming into the country and everything. It's like the criminals who come over the border, that's an entirely different organism. That's not who we're going after right now. We're going after asylum seekers who they are... What the administration has been doing is they've been taking away people's asylum status and then violently arresting them. So these are people who came here through legal channels, through the asylum system, and we can argue about whether or not that needs to be reformed, but these are people who came here legally, have the government take away their legal status, and then sent armed troops into towns to get them out of here.
Okay.
These aren't violent criminals. These are people who have had their legal status taken away from them. And on top of that, it's a question of due process is the biggest issue. And that's why everybody on the left is up in arms, is because people are getting caught up in this shit that are American citizens, that have the right to be here, that are on student visas. They're getting thrown into detention centers because they have accents or are brown and don't have their immigration paperwork physically on them. So they get thrown into the back of a van and get sent down to Louisiana or Texas from fucking Minneapolis. And then they're sitting there in a detention center for months. People don't even know where they fucking are half the time. Because there's just no due process going on. And the whole thing is you can be, well, them being here is a crime because they're here illegally. It's like, well, even if that's the case, even if it's somebody who border jumped, the problem is without due process, how do you prove they're a criminal? American citizens have been detained already for weeks at times.
Let me stop
because they haven't been allowed to communicate with anyone.
Yeah, and I've heard about that. The specific thing that you told me where they were here legally because their status was shit.
They are temporary
seekers.
Protected status. Yeah, temporary
asylum seekers. Can you tell? I wasn't aware of that status was taken away from them before the brigades are sent in. Can you tell me exactly what move the Trump administration did? Specifically,
I think he signed an executive order.
Their status, and what was his reasons for that?
Let me see.
I mean, according to him, you know what I mean? I'd be interested to know, because this is the first I'm hearing about that. That's interesting.
The Trump administration terminated temporary protected status for several countries, and their reasoning was because those countries are drug havens or what.
Okay.
So they took away the temporary protected status for Somalis. They ended that, which is why they're attacking Minnesota right now, is because they took away all their temporary protected status. Mm-hmm. Honduras, Venezuela. So yeah, they're doing it from specific countries, and the reason why they do that is so that they can let white South Afrikaners, like, you know, come in and everything, because we want them. You know, we just don't want all them brown people.
So are you of the opinion that this move is specifically pandering to what you see as the base constituency of the MAGA movement being white supremacists?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of this is actually the machinations of Stephen Miller, because this seems to have been his cup of tea. Like, he's a cat who's to me.
You're skipping out really bad, dude. It's probably going to come through in the recording. Yeah, try talking again. I'm sorry.
No, I said a lot of this stuff seems to be the brainchild of Steve, who's a higher up at the White House. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of very, like, white nationalists, like, we need to get the brown people out of America kind of stuff.
Mm. Does he come
like America is for Americans?
Does he come? Yeah, America for Americans. Which, listen, I mean, to me, that sounds like anti-globalist speech, which I 100% endorse. But to have anti-globalist rhetoric coming from an administration that is basically now an Israeli shill doesn't make that's obviously two-faced. Israel is not America, and there is no equilateral partnership there whatsoever. We are not getting more than we give, or even in equal measure. So what you're saying is you think that America for Americans, or whatever you said, what was it?
America for Americans. Yeah, America is for Americans.
Americans is basically a dog whistle, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems like to me anyway.
Mm. All right.
And then as far as the I keep forgetting his first name, Pretti, what was his first name?
Alex.
As far as the Alex Pretti thing, it's like, if you watch the video, it's like, yeah, he's there filming. I understand that he, like, at some point damaged some of their property 11 days prior to his killing. It's like, there's legal remedies for that. Arrest the guy. It's just like with what's her face. If she sped off, the guy had already walked around her car. He had her license plate. They could just show up at her house and arrest her. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Alex Pretti. With the Alex Pretti thing, an ICE officer is shoving a woman who is mouthing off to him. He shoves her to the ground, and Alex Pretti gets between the ICE officer and the woman that he shoved.
I think he pepper sprays the woman, and then Alex Pretti.
And then Alex Pretti gets in the way. He gets pepper sprayed as well. They wrestle him to the ground. They see that he's got a gun. They take his gun and then execute him in the back. And then after they shoot him, you can hear one of the ICE agents be like, "Oh yeah, his gun's over here," because they needed to stage the gun. Photo and be like, "Well, he had a gun."
You also see one of the ICE agents clapping as he walks away from the scene, which is really disgusting.
Yeah, really fucked up. And then the big thing to me is that in normal quote unquote times, because obviously, like, there's no normal times, but typically what you would see in a situation like that is the government would be like, "Well, we're investigating it. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves." Like, this administration immediately comes out with bold-faced lies to get ahead of the narrative, and then when the video doesn't match it, they don't care. Mm-hmm. They're like, "Oh, well, he obviously showed up there with the intent to do maximum damage. He was there to assassinate law enforcement individuals. He approached them with a gun, and his plan was obviously to take out as many of them as he could." It's like, then you watch the video, you're like, that's not what happened.
Right. He never even touched his gun, and he had a legal right to carry it.
Yeah, exactly. He had a concealed carry permit.
Yeah.
So the lengths to which the government is going to lie, to spin the narrative, and, like, The video of Renee Good that was taken by the officer that shot her is the most interesting thing, because that was released onto Twitter by Vice President J.D. Vance. And that's the one where you can hear the ICE agent say fucking bitch at the end of it. And I think that they left that in intentionally because they're dog whistling on whose side you're. So, oh, well, okay, she's a lesbian and a fucking bitch. You know, they're working really hard to make this all. It's like these people need to die because it's you or them.
Yeah, and a lot of disgusting things that I've been seeing on Twitter also after the Renee Good shooting that were calling her character into question is she made her living as a quote unquote poet. She came from Canada. She's a lesbian, and her lesbian life partner abused her children. I was like, none of those things are capital
relevant,
offenses.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant 100%. Hey, I'm a painter. Are you going to tell me
I
do not contribute to our society? Therefore, if I get shot in cold blood, it's no big deal. I mean, I found that very disgusting and deeply offensive. I mean, so what? I got to be Joe Sixpack and work at the fucking Harley factory in York in order for you to respect my life and my dignity? It doesn't make any sense.
I've got to work in the beer mines.
Good. Nice. But Harry, you've been telling me, I want to bring this up concisely and find out your opinion. And I don't want to, when I said I wanted to moderate, guys, you guys can talk to each other. I don't want to be the go-between.
It's a character assassination on the people.
What is?
It's always a character assassination. If you got someone you don't like and you do something to them, you attack their character and you bring up all their past history.
Right.
I mean, would you want to bring up all your past history? No. Oh, my past history is gone. It's gone.
I have never done anything I'm not proud of.
Well, some people have past history that we don't want to come up because now that was a different person.
Yeah, I was being facetious.
I mean, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I was a different person.
Right.
Today, I'm a little smarter, a little older, a lot older. But like I said, I have learned that there's certain situations that you got to remove yourself from because there are consequences to pay because you don't know what the other people are going to do.
Right.
You don't know what their reactions are going to be.
No, and I agree with you, your sentiment there to a large degree, where in situations like this, I rely primarily on pragmatism. And I think I brought it up on the last podcast that just you and I did together. Anybody who thinks that our civilization exists under the rule of law is fucking retarded.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Because the law don't work. The law only works for the people that are enforcing it. And just look at your court system and look how much misjustice is done.
Sure.
There are a lot of cases up here right now that's going on that the system is screwing you, period. Now, if you want to get screwed, that's one thing. But you got to learn how to avoid it, how to fight it, or how to make the best out of it. And that's what people got to learn. Educate yourself. Wake up, read history, read books.
Go ahead, talking.
Get woke. Nah, but one of the, this is interesting, like the term get woke actually came from like civil rights activists and stuff like that. It was about like, see what's happening to you, But I mean, I think that's the reason why Martin Luther King like demanded that the civil rights protests be pacifistic, is because he knew that if it became violent, that it would just add fuel to the fire and make people just want to kill them instead of make people sympathetic to them. So I think that's very important, is that if you're going to protest the government, you have to do it as peacefully as you can. You have to let them bring the violence because that's what sours everybody to it. And the other thing, I think that's kind of the danger when Harry's sitting there and he's talking about like that the legal system doesn't work and stuff like that. I think that sentiment is what brings us here. The fact that people think that the system is broken makes it so that when their side is in power, they're okay with taking extra judicial measures to take care of things. You're like, well, the system's broken, so just burn it all down. Oh, well, the court system would sit there and like they wouldn't find these people guilty, so just shoot them. Like the immigration system with the judges is backed up too much, so just deport everybody. If we get a couple of American citizens in there and people who aren't supposed to be deported accidentally in the mix, and we send them down to to CCOT in El Salvador, it's like, fuck it, it's a price worth paying because the system doesn't work. I think it's that sentiment that the system is broken that sits there and drives people to latch onto these like fucking heinous opinions.
I can see that. I can see how at least it's part of it. What do you think, Harry?
The system is broken.
I think what Talking Head is saying is that's kind of the sentiment that leads people to take matters into their own hands.
If you feel threatened and you don't want to be a casual victim, you're going to have to make a choice to fight it and cross the line, or just go with the program.
Right.
I mean, some people should be locked up, some shouldn't. Now, if you're an American citizen, and just because you're brown, black, or yellow, or pink, or whatever, or you have a disagreement with the government, there's a system that's supposed to go and provide you with proving what you are. But if you're going to ignore that and say, well, he's brown, his name is Torres, send him back down to Mexico until we can prove that he's an American citizen. Well, I don't carry papers on me.
Right, neither do I.
All right? We ain't to that point yet, but if it comes to that point, then I may change my attitude a little bit.
Well, I mean, you've even been coming in here sometimes in the morning saying, yeah, I see, this seems a little weird to me. You have to show me your papers. I mean, it kind of feels like Nazi Germany. You've said
exactly.
That to me
papers, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Papers, please.
Yeah, show me your papers. I know nothing.
I know nothing, Sergeant.
But that's like the whole crazy thing is like the first 5 amendments are just being like fucking violated on a daily basis in some of these cities. Like,
what are those first 5 amendments? Name them all.
So First Amendment's freedom of speech. Second Amendment's freedom to bear arms, which obviously Alex executed for.
You're breaking up really bad again, man. Let's take a moment out and try to fix that.
All right. Yeah, so the First Amendment is, their freedom of speech, their freedom to assemble, to sit there and protest this stuff. Second Amendment's the right to bear arms. Like I said, Alex Pretti got summarily executed despite exercising that right. And they literally used that as the reasoning for why he was shot. Oh, well, he had a gun on him.
Disgusting. For any Second Amendment people out there, I mean, you have to be appalled. And the NRA has released statements to that effect. So I don't understand how all these Second Amendment people are still pro ICE and anti Alex Pretti. Even if you're just going to look at that one incident, all these fucking hillbillies in the woods with their gun collections, stop sucking yourselves off talking about if things ever got real bad, we'd restore order. It's getting there, man. Somebody who is exercising a right that you believe in just got summarily executed for exercising that right. Grab your guns and get out there. Otherwise, or, either one's fine, or stop sucking yourselves off. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
What's the third one?
So the Third Amendment, they haven't really violated, but like the spirit of it is kind of being violated. That's the quartering amendment, where the government can't force private citizens to take troops into their home to quarter them.
How is that being violated?
Like I said, that's not actually being violated so much as like, if you think about abstract way, the fact that these soldiers are showing up in people's neighborhoods, but I understand that it's not actually being violated. Yeah, I know. I understand that that's not actually being violated.
All right, what's number 4?
Number 4 is unreasonable search and seizure, which is that they have to have probable cause to sit there and to ask you for identification, to sit there and search your home. They're violating the shit out of that one.
Yep.
But that, folks, what goes with the driver's license. And if you don't want to show your ID, driver's license, then they could give them probable cause to drag you out of the car and do what you want. But they do violate that quite a bit.
Well, specifically, ICE is violating that
Yeah, ICE
consistently.
is violating that technically.
No, consistently and broadly.
Technically, they're doing it.
How do you see that as a technicality?
I
mean, you can't have the color of your skin is brown, therefore we have probable cause.
Well, that's what they think, but it takes a court or go before a judge to decide that if they cross the line. And most of the time, people don't want to go to court anyway. So if you follow it and you just do it, there's no problem. But if you get a little arrogant about it, then they could just probably justify themselves.
Well, see, here's a point where I'm pretty sure you two guys disagree pretty heartily. I'm not going to say that ICE is on a technicality, perhaps violating the Fourth Amendment. I'm going to say that they're straight up violating it every situation that I see they're fucking violating.
They think they got the power. Like I said.
Yeah, but that's just give them the power, and that's the problem is that this is happening extrajudicially. Once they decide that they have. Because there's a video that's online of an ICE agent sitting there.
Dude, we got to stop again. You are breaking up way too much for this to be a good conversation. You got to fix this, man. You got to uncap whatever it is. You keep popping out.
Is that any better?
We'll see. All right, go ahead. Continue your thought.
No, so what I was saying is the problem is that they're doing all of this extrajudicially. So you can't say that that it's a technicality because there's a video where ICE agents roll up on a guy. And they tell him that their probable cause for asking him for his paperwork, because he says, I don't need to show you my paperwork. I'm an American citizen.
Is this the dude at the gas station?
I don't know if they were at a gas station, but the guys recording the ICE agents, the ICE agent actually says on camera, he says, our probable cause is your accent.
Wow.
Yeah, like just tells him point blank that. And the big problem with this, Harry, is that like, you're like, oh, well, if they want, they can take them to court. They can't. They're just deporting these people. They're all of this is happening extrajudicially. These deportations aren't going through courts. They're just sitting there and throwing them out of the country. They're literally loading them on planes.
I don't think they're being deported on the spot. They're
getting sent to detention facilities
center, and they're not given the permission to make a phone call in many cases. So if these people, perhaps they are American citizens, or at least they are here legally, the only legal recourse they're going to get is if they have somebody who's like, hey, so-and-so's gone, what the fuck happened? And they start fighting on this person's behalf. Yeah. All right, what's number 5?
Oh, and then the Fifth Amendment is about not having to incriminate yourself. But it also sits there and includes you need to sit there and have due process of law, which these people aren't getting.
Right. And then the argument, of course, from the right is they're not American citizens. They do not have these rights.
Yeah, and so any legal person that I've heard of, and obviously I'm listening to people who are saying it from my side of the argument, and that's the unfortunate thing about all legal documents.
Can you do me a favor? Start listening to people who are making the other side of the argument once in a while. I think it would because you're a smart guy. I want to hear your opinions on this, and you have opinions, which I don't. But you never listen to the other side.
No, so typically things that I listen to will present the side. And they'll also dissect the other side's argument and be like, even if you take that for faith. So it's like, yeah, it is being spun to be a certain way, but they are saying what the other side's argument is, and then saying like why that doesn't make sense. And so
go ahead.
There are certain portions of the Constitution that use the word citizen, and then there are certain parts of the Constitution that use the word no person. And so traditionally, it's been interpreted that when it says person, it means anyone who is here. Whereas citizen is specifically an application to an actual American citizen.
Now that's interesting to me. That sounds like splitting hairs. We're talking about people who wrote this fucking document with a feather quill pen.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys feel like that's splitting hairs or not?
Well, I feel like logically it only makes sense for a person to apply to everyone, whether they're a citizen or not. Because let's say you come here on vacation from Germany. So you sit there and you're coming here legally, and then all of a sudden somebody throws you into the back of a van and deports you to a country that you didn't come from. It's like, oh, well, he's not a citizen, so that doesn't matter.
That's a really good point. Perhaps they wrote it that way intentionally. That's a really good point, actually. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it does seem like number 3 was a stretch.
Oh, very much a stretch, yeah.
Huge stretch. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out. But they are definitely violating 4 out of the
first, second,
5,
fourth, and fifth amendments, yeah.
First 5 amendments on a fucking daily basis. I mean, you see it too, don't you, Harry?
Well, I've been in and out of the court, so I got a little insight of the workings of the court. I don't agree with them because I brought up things in court that they don't want to talk about because they've been taught to do it a certain way, and I'm in their ball field.
But you're also one of those people who, since I've met you, you have been going on tirades about the immigration problem in this country. And it got to the point where over morning coffee, I had to tell you, Harry, I got to be honest with you. This is not an issue that I ever have researched. It's not an issue that I care about. So, so you gotta stop going on hour and a half long tirades every morning about the immigration problem. But you are that guy. You saw this as a big problem for many, many years. Yeah. We've known each other almost 5 years now. Yeah. So how do you feel about what's going on now?
I think it's an open wound. I think it can lead to civil war. I think both sides have got to look at it, and both sides are at fault. One is overreacting, and the other one's overreacting the other way, and it's like making friction, and you're going to have a fire, and somebody's going to have to say, whoa, let's sit down and try to straighten this out. But it comes to a point where sometimes, don't you feel like if you argue with someone that says, fuck him, I don't like what he says, I'm just going to hit him and say, hell with it. Mm-hmm. And that's what maybe the government's doing. They're hitting these people too hard, but they're not giving them due process of law, which was promised to us. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a good example. Second Amendment, everybody has a right to have a gun. Mm-hmm. In Pennsylvania, we have open carry.
Right.
All right? We went down to a rally down in Harrisburg, open carry. Guys were carrying their AR-15s, their pistols in the open. There was about at least 50 people open carry. And you know what? It was perfectly legal, but it would upset a lot of other people.
Sure.
All right? Now, if you went to a restaurant and you sit there and you seen a bunch of guys in the counter, they all had open carry guns, is that a threat to you?
Well, you asked me this question as a hypothetical one morning.
But that's a hypothetical. Would you feel safer?
I had to think about it. So if I walk into like a diner,
right,
a bar, certainly not. I would leave immediately because there's alcohol being consumed there. If I see a bunch of guys with guns at a bar, I turn around and I walk out. But let's say I walk into a diner to get breakfast. These guys are drinking coffee and eating pancakes, and I see everybody's got a gun. No, I don't fucking give a shit. I don't feel threatened.
It's the circumstances that you're in.
Yeah, I don't feel threatened at all.
But like I said, if people get threatened by other people exercising their rights, the system gets threatened by you exercising your rights and telling them what the law is.
I agree.
And sometimes they get highly pissed at you.
I agree.
Because they've been playing their game so long, they think that's the way it should be.
So the system gets threatened by its citizens in America exercising their rights blatantly. Do you see that as what's going on right now with the protests and the ICE?
Well, I've been in court and I opened a Black's Law Dictionary in front of a judge.
Yes, I know that you've done all these amazing things, but I'm asking your opinion specifically on this issue.
He just shut his mouth and didn't even argue with me.
Okay.
Why?
Okay, but what I'm asking you is, do you feel like the ICE protesters and ICE being so belligerent and violent towards the protesters, and the protesters are being belligerent as well, but they are exercising they are exercising their rights.
Yes.
So what I'm asking you is, you said the system or the government does not like it when its citizens exercise their rights blatantly, and then they will treat you differently. Do you feel like that's what's happening right now with the ICE situation?
I believe there's outside forces that's feeding the situation because they want it to be fed.
That's interesting. Now, what do you think those outside forces are? That's interesting.
I feel like this is going to be a huge disagreement because he's going to say paid protesters on the
George
left.
Soros.
Yeah, George.
There
Dude, I honestly wasn't sure where he was going to go with that. So go ahead.
Oh no, I knew he was.
You talk about that goddamn juice. You go ahead.
I know.
But he's been doing this for years. He's been so power hungry. He's using his wealth to pay people to go to protests, and there have been videos of that. They've been supporting that because for whatever reason he wants to bring this country down. All right, George Soros is our enemy, plain and simple. All right? Now, there are outside forces that don't like this country, and they'll do anything to bring it down. And I believe that's what's behind it.
Well, you made an unqualified statement about George Soros, and that's twice now. And frankly, I've heard this from you a lot, and I've heard it online a lot, and I've actually heard it from our father, Talking Head, quite a bit. Kevin talks about George Soros quite a bit.
He is the
he has fantasies about killing this guy. And frankly, I've never heard any arguments about George Soros compelling enough that even prompted me or compelled me to research it more deeply. So all right. You tried to garner my interest with the immigration issue, and it didn't work. And now the country's on fire. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's something to it. Try to get me interested. Why should I be interested in even researching George Soros?
Well, unfortunately, it goes very deep back to 43 when he turned his own people in and become the bank for the Nazis. He's a power-hungry person.
Okay.
He is trying to create a society, and he's trying to create his own kingdom, if you want to call it, because he thinks money and power will get it that way.
That's right. The only thing that I've heard that I have to agree unequivocally about this guy, because I've heard it from both sides, is that he is a big believer in social engineering.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what his problem is.
Okay. And which I'll say frankly disgusts me, the social engineering mindset.
Right.
And we can have a philosophical discussion about the pros and cons of that idea set, where it came from, and it's both how its application and its misapplication both foster the same results, which end up in disaster. Sure. Because I've actually looked into that quite a bit. But beyond that, I've never heard anything about George Soros. I'm sorry, go ahead, Talking Head.
No, so as far as social engineering and everything like that goes, it's like it's this the whole same thing that comes. It's like, okay, but who's in charge of what we're engineering toward? It's just like when you sit there and you do like, oh, well, the people should require like licenses to have kids because so many people are dumb. It's like, okay, who gets to decide that? And
sure,
that's always the problem with that shit.
And that's where the cornerstone of the thought of social engineering begins to fall apart. However, there's more to it than that.
Oh, sure. I was just saying.
It's just on a philosophical basis. Everything from metaphysics to epistemology to aesthetics, the very concept of social engineering is like the worst thing that human consciousness has ever invented. It's horrible.
So can I take a quick moment? Harry, if I can prove to you that you've been lied to about George Soros in one very fundamental way, would it change your opinion on him at all?
If you could prove George Soros wasn't a traitor to his people, and he hasn't supported all these protest groups by throwing billions of dollars in there.
So
Maybe
he was a traitor to his.
to you.
He was a traitor.
Hang on. Go ahead.
But
No, I was asking.
You hang on. Go ahead. Talking head.
Okay, sorry. So he was a traitor to his people because during World War II, he was banking for the Nazis.
Yes.
Do you know how old he was during World War II?
He was a very young man.
He was 13.
No, he's a little old. Was older than that.
He was 13.
He's a very old man. I think he's past 80 now.
Talking head, what year was George Soros born in?
1 second, let me get that back up. $1930.
In what year did World War II end?
1948.
Okay, so when World War II ended, he was 18 years old. So he did not have an opportunity to bank for the Nazis. Sorry.
Exactly.
Well, I'll have to check that out.
Well, we just Googled it, dude.
You Google that. But the people I talked to, the Jewish people that was involved, I got that information from survivors. So
I like how you
survivors. But who says he wasn't a poor family?
Okay, so maybe his father was involved in something like that, but George Soros couldn't have, unless he's the youngest banker in history.
It could be. I don't know. I got to check that out.
All right, fair enough.
I said, that's what I've been told.
Now, if I had been told something like that,
yeah,
okay, and Talking Head shows me unequivocally, but that by the time World War II ended, and by the way, the Nazis were defunct long before the end of World War II.
Right,
World War II was after Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Right,
okay, so there's no way. Here's what I would say, Harry. I would say to Talking Head, are you sure that's what it says? Okay, I was misinformed. Well, because the only other option is that somebody's lying about his birth date.
Maybe. I don't know. I'll check it out.
But isn't it more likely that you were just misinformed?
It's possible.
All right. Well, at least we got that.
Everything's possible. I've been misinformed about a lot of things when I was younger.
Okay. Well, at least there's that.
But like I said,
I'll take what I can get.
The hardest thing for a human being to admit he's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you were just proving that idea in your head, wherever it came from, is incorrect. Now, whether or not George Soros is trying to engineer this country in a specific way, I'm going to have to say that's all but proven. All rich people do that. And whether or not he feels like, because he has socialist leanings, and most socialists believe, and this comes from Marx and Lenin, this comes from the Communist Manifesto, for Christ's sake, that you have to have a revolution before the system can be implemented.
Of course.
And perhaps he's trying to lead us there. I would say that thought, I could be like, yeah, that fucking makes sense. I want to see that thought proven wrong before I stop using it in my mental equations.
Well,
because that makes sense.
When you talk about Marx, you're going back to 1848 and 1849.
Okay.
All right? That's when they wrote the plank. Like
You're talking about the Communist Manifesto? What's the plank? Okay.
And then you had Engels, which is another socialist.
Okay, but we're talking about Soros here specifically. I don't want to just go on a history lesson. So if you're gonna say that he's into social engineering, I have to say unequivocally. Sorry, I keep mispronouncing that word. Yes, from everything that I've heard, without independent research, from both sides, people that love him and people that hate him, he's definitely into social engineering, and he is a socialist, or at least has deep socialist leanings. Right. I have to say yes, because both sides say that that's what he's about. And if you read the Communist Manifesto, it said, I mean, it's in the book. Yep. You cannot implement this system in a pre-existing government without a revolution. Yes. That has to be violent. Yep. That's in there. I got the book right now. It's in my storage unit.
Does it specifically say that it has to be violent?
That's what I remember reading. You want to look it up, dude? Go ahead. Yeah.
That was the 1919 Russian Revolution. That was a violent situation.
My boy Rasputin had a lot to do with that.
Oh, now you're going back to 1915.
Yeah. First World War, baby. Yeah, talking about what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just asking. The last thing that I said was just asking.
I mean, so does what I'm saying about George Soros, my use of reason here? If I was told that he was a traitor to his own people and he banked for the first of all, we all know the Bush family did that. So let's get that out in the open. That's how they made their fucking money. They did that. Herbert Walker Bush was prosecuted under the Trading with the Enemies Act for it, and he lost. So we know that's a fact. Go ahead, talking. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying, isn't it kind of funny how that it always turns out that with all this stupid sides shit, it's like when one side accuses the other side of something, it's almost an admission of guilt.
Well, it's not always, but it's close to always, and of course it reminds me of 1984, and it reminds me of the book Atlas Shrugged. Yeah, you see that all the time. And those books are perfectly applicable to the times that we're living in the United States right now, 100%. But I mean, just tell me that my use of reason here does not make sense. If people who hate and love George Soros are all going to agree on a few things, I don't have to bother doing independent research because we can extrapolate those things, right? So, I mean, that's my opinion on George Soros. He is a very wealthy man. He uses that money and power in order to leverage social engineering on behalf of his socialist ideals, and the socialist ideal says that this system cannot be implemented without a violent revolution taking place. Now, if you put all those things together, now it stands to reason that he is using his power in order to push the American zeitgeist, the collective American conscious, to the point where a revolution becomes imminent. Now, perhaps, talking head to your point, perhaps he's sitting there thinking, I'm so smart that perhaps we can do this without too much violence. Maybe. I don't know. Never met the guy. But, I mean, unequivocally, you can't say anything I've just said is wrong because it's what I'm hearing from people who love him and hate him. I mean, I'm pretty much right here. I'm using reason correctly. Am I not?
The only thing that I would say is that because I have not read the Communist Manifesto, I don't know that it specifically calls for a violent revolution. But I would
that's
say,
the way it's always gone down. But I remember reading that. Any philanthropist engages in social engineering. So anybody who's sitting there and donating money to causes is, not only just using it as a tax break by creating NGOs. Now wait a second. There is a difference. There is a difference between what is, anything that you do is social engineering. Us putting out this podcast is social engineering to a small degree. I'm talking about the philosophy of top down. So everybody should live exactly this way because then it would be a utopian paradise. Utopia as a concept, which was written by Thomas what's-his-face from Tudor England under King Henry VIII, by the way. What's his name?
I thought it was Thomas Paine, but I could be wrong.
Might have been Thomas Paine. Okay.
I could be mixing authors.
It might have been. I don't know. I want to say Thomas Aquinas, but that's Roman. That doesn't make sense. It's Thomas. Who wrote Utopia, motherfucker? I keep forgetting this.
Thomas More.
Thomas More. Thank you. And since then, that book is fucking philosophical poison, because that type of concept is where the concept of top-down social engineering comes from. So you can extrapolate a perfect world for everybody. And in order to get there, here's the logical steps that we have to take to get from A to Z. Okay, because Z exists. There is a perfect world. There is an ideal world. And here's what we have to do to get there. I mean, this is the fucking point that was borne out, and perhaps not the book, but at least the series, Game of Thrones. This is what turned fucking Dany into a goddamn tyrant.
Well, so I would sit there and say that I think the fallacy that there is such thing as a perfect society is the starting point that breaks everything.
That's what I just said. Thank you for agreeing. Yeah.
So I think that the thing that goes on now is that different people with different opinions are trying to push things in the direction they want them to be. And I would say, to my mind, George Soros doing his little social engineering by sitting there and putting billions of dollars into nonprofit organizations that sit there and try to push his ideals is probably...
They're not just nonprofit, though. A lot of them are NGOs, let's be honest.
Yeah, NGOs and nonprofits, sure. Okay. I said NGOs earlier, but
okay.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. But I think that that's probably less dangerous than Fox News and the government pushing their top-down thing about how we need to have a perfect society for a select few.
So is a perfect society for a select few more dangerous a concept than a perfect overall society? Huh. That's a good fucking question. I'm going to let you guys debate this for a second while I think this through. I've never thought about this before. I have no thought on this right now. Let me think about it. Talking Head, go ahead. Tell me why you think that a perfect society for a select few is more dangerous than a perfect society for everybody. That's interesting.
So I feel like, so if we take George Soros as a concept as you have him in your head, but let's take it...
My head or Harry's head?
Your head, not Harry's.
Good.
If you take the concept of him as he exists in your head currently, let's add the caveat that maybe he's trying to do it for the betterment of mankind. He's trying to do it for the people. Let's say his intentions are pure.
Despots always do.
I know. But let's say his intentions are pure.
I don't think he thinks he's an evil person. Everybody thinks they're a good person.
But so I guess that's my thing. So like, let's say he thinks he's a good person and that his social engineering will lead to overall a better life for people. Right. But like the whole Stalin thing is death of one is a tragedy. The death of a million is a statistic. When you're trying to engineer something for everyone, somebody is going to have to pay the price at some point.
For sure.
Now, so that's the wickedness of that concept. Now, the Fox News like push people into believing certain narratives because it makes them on our side top-down version of things is, well, we want these people to believe this thing because then we can get rid of all these brown people and we can sit there and, murder these people and we'll be on top, and that's the way it should be because we are the rightful inheritors of power.
Mm.
Well, the only difference is that's deciding already who is going to lose instead of people losing because of the machinations of trying to make everything perfect. You're trying to make things perfect for a specific subset of Americans at the detriment of others, intentionally.
I think
they've already picked the losers.
I think your argument, I see what you're saying, but I think your argument is apples and oranges for one highly specific reason.
Okay.
It's just the examples that you brought up. So to let me be clear, I'm still thinking about which one is more dangerous, grossly unjust to natural evolution. I don't know. I still haven't come to a conclusion. But the reason why what you just said is apples and oranges is because social engineering is very different than what the media does. What legacy media especially does, and what modern media is starting to do, is starting to follow in its footsteps because it's more profitable. It's basically sorcery. If you can change the narrative and change people's opinions, you have therefore altered reality because there is no reality without an objective witness to reality. The only thing that is objective about reality is the witness thereof. Who is the master that makes the grass green? The answer, of course, is you are. So they're sorcerers. George Soros is a highly specific thing that's more mechanical, that there are funds being put into, there are think tanks, etc. You see what I'm saying?
But if he's paying protesters to sway public opinion about something, how is that different than paying a newscaster to say those protesters are blue-haired liberal freaks that need to be shot?
Because one is something that is happening and the other one is telling people that things are happening. It's a fine line, but it's still apples and oranges. They're both rounds. Right, they're both fair enough. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way I see it.
I hear you.
And I'm not saying that Fox News is good or not dangerous. I'm just saying I think it's a little bit of a different mechanism at play here. That's all I'm saying.
I was just saying that I saw them as even though they're different machines, technically,
they're certainly similar.
Doing the same thing. You know,
they're not doing exactly the same thing. Is my point, but what their ends perhaps are the same. Sure. Yeah. But they're definitely using different mechanisms to accomplish those ends.
Well, sure. Different systems have different levers of power to access.
Harry, what do you think is a more dangerous theocratic concept? Utopia, to create a society that is good for everybody, or to create a society that is good for a few? Which one do you think is a more dangerous concept?
It's a double-edged sword. Can create a utopia which don't exist because you cannot be totally equal in this world, because nature proves that by evolution with the animals and the who's on top, who's top of the food chain.
Equality is an absolute myth. I agree.
You can't equal a lamb with a lion. Two different
things. They're very different. Yep.
It's totally different. Now, if you're going to have a utopia and everyone's going to be happy, then you got a society of robots that don't think. They're not human beings. They're just little units that operate and keep the system going.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have a system that I'm living here. I don't believe we should kill a cow so I could eat my hamburger. But then again, I'm hungry, so therefore the only thing the cow looks to me is like it gives me milk and it gives me my hamburger. It keeps me alive. Mm-hmm. The basic law is something has to die for something else to live.
Or more radically, life feeds on life. Right. Energy has to be consumed and transformed for evolution to take place.
We live on the blood of other creatures.
Correct.
And if people don't admit that, they're fools. I mean, what will you be eating? You'll be eating grass like the cow. No, the cow eats the grass, and we drink the milk, and we make the hamburgers out of the cow. But that's the way nature is.
Well, it's kind of like Joe Rogan said. Let's sum this up. Green shit grows, dumb shit eats the green shit.
Yep.
Then nasty shit eats the dumb shit, and smart shit eats the nasty shit. Right?
So it's a cycle.
Right.
And this is what people don't realize. We are a creature that feeds off others.
So if you
maybe in food, but maybe in ideas also. So we create the ideas of money, justice, equality, fairness that don't exist.
Right.
But the human creature himself, inside, is just as bad as the lion that kills to eat.
Right. Yeah. So, talking head, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and go with my gut reaction for now. Which one is a more dangerous, disgusting, anti-nature ideal to have in your head? A utopia society that's supposedly good for everybody, or a society that's good for the few? I'm going to have to go ahead and say that it's probably a lateral move. Because whichever one you do, and I'm thinking back to the movie Demolition Man with
Stallone and
Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. you're always going to have the people that don't fit into the society that you have created. So the problem with both of the ideas is one very fundamental, philosophical, anti-nature fallacy. That is that in both of those systems, the system is enshrined above the individual. And Western thought is based upon one crucial principle, that the individual is more important than the group. And it's a logical fallacy that leads us to this conclusion. It is because a group is nothing more than a collection of individuals. So it's kind of like when Jesus said, the Sabbath was created for man, not man for the Sabbath. You can't have, anytime you try to create an ideal society for quote unquote everybody, or for the few, the elite, whoever it might be, the whites, whatever, what you're doing is you're enshrining an ideal above the individual, that the individual now has to adhere to or placate to in order to find his or her place. So the fundamental fallacy is the same in both, and I think they probably both end the same way. The only way I would say maybe I could see one with a better outcome than the other is what I've been saying since we started this podcast. If you're trying to create an ideal society for a few people, for a specific group of people, then other groups of people are similarly able to execute the same option, then you have atomization. That's beautiful. Then you have tribes. Then you have communities. Then you have similar, like-minded people existing and cooperating together, which is what is the cornerstone of the experiment of civilization in the first place. However, I'm going to acquiesce that creating the ideal society for the few generally is going to mean, even if it's not created for you, you got to feed us. You have to partake in this system that doesn't have your best interests at heart. And that's exactly what we're existing in right now.
Sure. Yeah. And so to that point, yeah, atomization and tribes and everything, it's like, and that's all fine and dandy. To quote The Godfather, insofar as your interest against ours.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, but eventually when you get enough atomization and tribalization, you end up with the Mongols. You decide like, well, might makes right, and we could just take everything, can't we?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And that's always the fine line that society has been trying to tread, is because you can't give everyone absolute freedom because some people are assholes. Mm-hmm. And you can't give the system more importance than the people who are in it, because the system will destroy you because you're just numbers.
And that's where I feel like we're at right now. Yeah.
I feel like we're kind of somehow like at the apex of both. Like the might makes right plus the system is your daddy.
Yeah, the system is making the mighty, though, more than the mighty being the mighty. We don't have, you're a 7-foot tall guy that can handle a broadaxe. Now you're the ruler of the world. We have people that are born into and know how to play the system. So, yeah. I agree with you. Interesting. We're about an hour and a half in. This has been a fantastic fucking conversation. I've learned a lot, and I've had to think about things I've never thought about before, which doesn't happen a lot because all I have to do all day is sit around and fucking think, and I can't turn my goddamn brain off, which is why I do this. Thank you, Budweiser. Do either of you guys have any other directions that you would like to take this conversation in? We're about an hour and a half. I can go on as long. Talking Head, we're not doing that other thing today. I think I told you, so I don't care.
No, you did not tell me we weren't doing that. You did not tell me.
I don't think I want to do that today.
Okay.
Anybody got another subject?
Yeah, I mean, well, I want to keep it on the same topic. Okay. But I mean, what? Do you want to talk about taxes, Harry?
No, what's another subject you would
what do you guys where else would you like to take this?
Well,
how about Elon Omar getting basted?
Oh, did they find out what was in that? Did they find out what was in that?
Apple cider vinegar.
That's so stupid. Right.
So now, just really briefly, anybody who isn't listening to this, so crazy right-wing dude, I'm just saying that because he is. If it was a crazy left-wing person, like a crazy left-wing person shot fucking Charlie Kirk or whatever, but crazy right-wing dude sits there and takes a syringe full of apple cider vinegar.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Sprays Ilhan Omar with the contents of it. And then props to Ilhan Omar, she charged at the fucker, so apparently she's just like, no, fuck you.
She did?
Yes.
Holy shit, I didn't know that. Good for her.
You know what she said?
What?
I've been in war.
Well, where is
she?
From
Somalia.
Yeah, she's from Somalia. She knows some shit. She's not gonna fucking back down.
She charged him with a pen.
Good for her. That's funny.
But yeah, so now the right-wing media machine is saying that she paid him, and it's a false flag thing, and they've been creating AI images of her handing him money and pointing to him with a big smile and shit.
Well, that's funny. But here's another funny thing. What about that guy, John Lemon, that got arrested?
Don Lemon.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know where I fall on this one.
He did get arrested.
Well, I'm sorry. What's that talking about?
I said, I don't know where I fall on this one about him getting arrested because it's like dual free speech impingement.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I forgot. I was going to bring that up. I totally... Because I came up with my notes for what I wanted to do on this podcast while I was driving around yesterday, and that totally, blanked out of my fucking head.
And you know what? The judge denied bail to him.
Wow.
With his high-priced lawyers. Says, no, I'll see you Monday.
What?
And here it is Sunday, so he's getting a taste of jail.
Dude, I want to know the exact circumstances of this, because from the article, I read one article. From the article that I read, it almost sounds like he incited the protest that he then went to cover.
Yes.
And that's why he's being prosecuted. Yes. But it wasn't said outright. It just, from what I read, that's what it seemed like it was pointing at. Do you know more about this, Talking Head?
So that's definitely the right-wing narrative. I'm not sure exactly.
Dude. The article that I read was ABC.
Yeah, do you know that ABC? You know ABC is being run by a right winger now, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the right wing billionaires are buying up all of the media companies.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that either.
But you know what the act that they're putting him under? The KKK Act.
That's not what it's called, but I remember reading something about that. Yeah. Talking Head, can you elucidate us on that?
So the only details that I know about it are that the pastor of a church, I guess in some way, I forget what the tie was. Do you guys know the blank there? Because he's some way affiliated with ICE or whatever.
Yeah, the pastor of the church is a supposed, it's not proven, supposed administrator of somewhere within the ICE organization. Right. He's not a boots on the ground guy. He pushes papers or something.
Gotcha. So the protesters found out this and went to the church to disrupt their service. And according to Don Lemon's account of it, he was there as a reporter to sit there and report on events as they unfolded.
Well, that's his job.
And so it's a strange thing because he is there to document occurrences, but they're saying that he was somehow a part of the disturbance, which happened on private property. So, those protesters needed to leave if asked because they're on private property.
First of all, I want to say this about Don Lemon. Not a fan. He's been caught lying a shitload of times, if not outright lying, saying very questionable things. And then when he gets caught and questions, he doubles down instead of that was fucked. You're sorry. You know what? Not a fan. However, dude, the fact that I don't like him is not any reason to be arrested for doing your job. Can you look up real quick why he was denied bail? Maybe that would give us some insight.
A right-wing judge.
Oh, was it? That's all
Of
it
course
is.
it has to be.
Dude, this is too
If it was-
much.
if
This
it
is
was-
too much. When identity politics start to affect the judiciary, this is too much.
No, I've been saying that for a long time.
Oh my God, that's Civil War territory right there. Go ahead, Talking Head. What'd you find?
So they wouldn't let him out before his court appearance. He has been released.
He has
let me
been
see
released.
here. Yes,
Okay.
he was released
Okay.
from custody without bail Friday after his court appearance.
Okay, all right.
So doesn't sound like a miscarriage of justice, actually.
Okay, good.
So I'm guessing that they just
What
didn't
is he
allow
being
him.
exactly? What is this KKK thing that he's being
He's being charged with conspiracy to deprive rights and violation of the FACE Act for his involvement in the anti-ICE protest that
That's
disrupted
what it was.
services at a Minnesota church.
That's what it was.
Women-
He was trying to intimidate people from walking inside the church because that was enacted to protect women that wanted to get an abortion. And they had certain provisions in there where you also can't intimidate people from walking into any public gathering space, including churches. This is the first time that's been prosecuted on behalf of a church, which makes sense because generally speaking, they are not as controversial as abortion clinics. But where's the KKK thing come into this? Because I remember reading something about that. Hang on, Talking Head's got the article up. Let him tell us.
And by the way, just to be fair, I'm reading this from Fox News. So
Okay.
a federal. Oh no! I'm saying like to not have like
to not have a
leftist spin on
skewed.
it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So a federal magistrate judge previously rejected the Justice Department's initial attempt to bring charges against Lemon. The DOJ then sought an indictment from a Minnesota grand jury. Lemon went viral earlier this month for live streaming left-wing agitators, that's how you can tell it's Fox News, who stormed St. Paul's City's church during Sunday services.
They used such strong language. They didn't say gathered at, they say stormed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lemon has maintained he was there as a journalist, not as a protester. It's just like how all the George Floyd protests were mostly peaceful protests, according to CNN, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah, sure, they were mostly peaceful. Several buildings got burned down because they were so large and they did get unpeaceful.
Several in one city. Several in the city where I live. So how many cities was this going on in? Every city!
But my point is mostly is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Mostly is doing a lot of heavy lifting, yeah.
Just like Stormed is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
A lot of heavy lifting, yep, exactly. Go ahead.
In the indictment, however, the DOJ accuses him of coordinating with the protest organizers before they arrived at the church. Now,
you have to in order to do your job as a reporter.
Exactly, and in order to know where the protest is happening, to report on it. So you're going to coordinate with the protest organizers.
This seems shady.
This seems ginned up.
Yeah. So once again, not a fan of the guy, but you know, it's what's the quote that I always remember Peter Griffin saying it in that accent, but it's an actual quote and it's an important quote. Well, sir, while I disagree with what you say, I will defend to the death your right to say it. Which I won't, but you know, the sentiment is there. That's what I believe. Yeah. I will not lay my life down for your right to do anything, but it's what I believe.
Sure. Well, I will not physically enact that. That's the sentiment. You know, it's the thought that counts.
I mean, us getting shadow banned on every single social media network because we named our channel The New World Order, and the people who own these corporations don't like that. And all of the shit that has gone down during the Biden administration where people were getting deplatformed and losing their living because that's how they made their living. It's the same thing as doing this to Don Lemon, as far as we know right now. And what they did to Stephen Colbert and what's the other guy who I don't remember his name because he's not
Jimmy
funny
Kimmel.
and I think he's a hack. Jimmy Kimmel. It's the same fucking thing. People have a right to say what they want to fucking say. As long as it's not libel or what's the other one?
Slander.
Libel or slander. Those are the only two laws. And you can't say K the president. That's the other thing you can't say. Aside from that, and you can't incite violence. Aside from those four things, there's probably 10 more that I can't remember. You're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want. That's That's the only thing. Harry and I were having a discussion earlier today about what makes America unique. It's the only fucking thing I can think of. Freedom of speech and peaceful assembly. That's it. No other country fucking has that as far as I know.
And it's just funny to watch people on X, owned by Elon Musk, free speech absolutist, sit there and be like, oh yeah, well that woman was a bitch, she should be shot. You shouldn't talk to those ICE officers that way.
That's fine. That's their right to say that. Do you have a problem with that?
No, I have a problem with them believing that, because that's ridiculous for free speech absolutists.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and to say that she was impeding traffic, therefore she should have gotten shot, or she was bad to her kids, therefore she was gotten shot, or she was a poet, therefore she wasn't useful to society, therefore she should have gotten shot. Dude, what is the thing that a society, when it's in the face of war, what's the first thing they protect, talking head? You know this.
The press?
No. That's the first thing to die is free media in the face of a war. In the face of a war, if your house is burning down, what's the first thing you go to protect?
I don't know what you're looking for. Just go ahead.
You go to protect your family photos.
Okay.
When a society is faced with war, the first thing that they do is they take all their art treasures and they throw them in a vault, a bomb shelter. That's for every country, at least every Western country. That's the first fucking thing they do. So telling me that because somebody made a living as an artist, they're not contributing to society, I find personally fucking offensive, and you can go fuck yourself. Without art, your life would be a diatrice. Am I saying that word right? Diatrice?
I'm not sure where you're going for there, yeah.
Diatrice. Of factory work, beer, and soap operas and reality TV shows. So you're welcome for making your life fucking worth living. All those movies that you enjoy. Hey, you like The Godfather? Guess what? That's art, asshole. Somebody had to write that. She was a writer. Go fuck yourself. Seriously.
Bread and circuses. Bread and circuses.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that why the Nazis stole all their art?
Yeah.
During the 30s?
It was the national treasures of another civilization, so it was a power move, 100%.
It was a power play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and it's a way to erase that other civilization or appropriate it, and then sit there and use it as your own mythos. Exactly. And you also end up with, like, now the funny thing is all that Nazi art is hidden away in vaults in Switzerland because, God forbid, people see it.
Yeah. And God, I've seen some of that art in a very special documentary I can't find anywhere that Chris Knoll introduced us to. That art's amazing. A lot of it's fucking amazing. You take out the couple of Nazi flags that are in it, and if you take those out, you could look at all of that artwork and be like, "Yup, that is a resurgence of the pinnacle of Western civilization."
No, certainly they were hearkening back to the Renaissance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, ancient Greece, the Hellenistic period specifically. Yeah, it's a shame. That's what we're going to talk about on our first podcast for the other thing that we're going to do. I just don't have my head. I just don't have my. Well, we're going to touch on that, but I want to kind of set up what we're talking, and that's going to be, basically what we talk. The death of Western civilization and why it's important to keep it alive. Harry, what were you saying?
That's why art is important.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a book, a painting, a piece of furniture you make, maybe even you design a shoe or a piece of clothing. It's a piece of artwork that comes out of you.
Yeah, I mean, we got our beautiful goddess right here on the middle of our table, and
our colorful characters.
Yeah, and the colorful characters that you've created, and they all inspire me, and they push me to do better things.
Yeah, why not? But if they start talking to us, then we're in a little bit of trouble.
They don't talk to you?
No, not yet.
Ah, shit.
Well, maybe you're just hard of hearing.
Yeah.
Talking Head, you sounded like you had something else you wanted to say.
No, I didn't have anything particular queued up.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up there. I think that was a really good conversation, and I'm glad that I decided to do it this way. I just wanted to listen to you guys. I'm surprised on how much you guys agreed on. I really am. But I think Harry's getting a little worn down what he sees going
I'm
on.
not worn down yet.
No. I mean, with what you see going on.
Oh yeah.
You're like fuck Trump. He looks like a bully. You know.
Right. If it don't affect my life, don't do it. But get in my face, then we'll see.
A lot of your opinions are starting to sour on what you. I'm seeing a change. Is what I'm saying.
Well, like I said, okay. Subscribe to this channel. Get our.
We don't need you to do that. We don't need you to do that. We're shadow banned on every fucking platform.
Okay, we shadow banned.
It's fine.
But I hope we get more subscribers.
It's fine.
More views.
Don't worry about it.
And
so I want to thank Harry. Thank you for doing this conversation. Talking Head, thank you very much. I thought it was really interesting. You guys made me think about things I've never thought about before. And I think a lot of really pertinent points were brought up, and I'm glad we had the opportunity to do this. I don't think we need to do a soapbox. I think the whole podcast was pretty much a soapbox.
Yep.
Talking Head, do you want to do Alex Jones? I am set up for it. If you have the energy to do that, totally up to you.
I'm not sure I actually have the energy to do that.
No, that was pretty intense. I hear you. Okay, no problem. We'll save that for another time, and I want to do the first recording for the art podcast, Talking Head, with you. We're gonna set up a channel on a podcast that's basically going to be talking about art, the occult philosophy, because everything under the New World Order banner is obviously shadow banned. We have proof of that now. So I'm going to try to start new channels to promote my artwork and talk about different things that we want to talk about. That's not so much, talking about current events and stuff like that. So we're going to get that started. Next time you're on, we'll record the first episode. I should be set by then. Anyway, thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it. And thank you again for watching the New World Order broadcast. And just remember, we're watching you too.
Is watching. There are strangers